The council chamber stood as it had for 3 million years, a massive sphere of crystalline walls that reflected the light of 1,000 worlds. Inside, representatives from 200 species gathered in their designated zones. Some floated in gaseous atmospheres, others stood on solid platforms, a few existed as pure energy contained within magnetic fields. High Chancellor Varric of the Ethon Empire called the session to order. His 4 eyes scanned the assembly with practiced authority. He had led the council for 600 years. In all that time, he had never faced a decision like this. We are here to vote on the human question, Varric announced. His voice echoed through translation fields that converted his words into 200 languages simultaneously. The charges are clear. Humanity has proven itself too dangerous to remain part of our galactic community. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood in the human delegation zone. She was the last of her kind here, the last voice Earth would have before the vote. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. Around her, holographic display showed the evidence against her species, wars, weapons, conflicts that had erupted wherever humans had settled. Ambassador Chen, Varric said, his tone almost sympathetic. Do you wish to speak before we vote? Sarah stepped forward. The chamber fell silent. 200 civilizations waited to hear what she would say. She looked at each section of the chamber, at species who had once called humans friends, at others who had feared them from the start. You call us aggressive, Sarah began. Her voice was calm. You say we are unpredictable, dangerous, and perhaps you are right. We have made mistakes. We have fought wars. We have struggled to control our nature. She paused. But we have also saved lives. We have shared our technology. We have stood beside you against threats you could not face alone. A murmur rippled through the assembly. Some species nodded, others remained unmoved. The Krellian ambassador, a being of pure thought, projected his response directly into the translation field. You speak of your contributions, Ambassador Chen, but you ignore your violations. 43 conflicts in your 200 years as council members. 43. No other species in council history has such a record. Sarah met the Krellian's energy field with steady eyes. And how many of those conflicts did we start? How many did we fight to protect others, to stop invasions, to defend worlds that could not defend themselves? The method matters less than the result. The Krellian responded. You bring chaos wherever you go. The council was peaceful before humanity arrived. It will be peaceful again after you leave. Sarah wanted to argue. She wanted to scream that peace bought through. Inaction was no peace at all, but she knew it would not matter. The decision had already been made. This vote was a formality. The council had decided humanity's fate in closed sessions weeks ago. Very well, Varric said. We now vote, all in favor of exiling humanity from the Galactic Council and sealing their home system behind a quantum barrier. Lights began to glow throughout the chamber, blue lights, the color of agreement. Sarah watched as section after section illuminated. Species she had worked with, species she had saved, all of them voting to exile her people. The vote is unanimous. Very announced. Humanity is hereby exiled from the Galactic Council. The quantum barrier will be erected within one standard cycle. You have that time to return to your home system. I am sorry, Ambassador Chen, but this is for the Good of the galaxy. Sarah stood silent for a long moment. Then she spoke. Her voice was quiet, but it carried to every corner of the chamber. You will forget us, she said. Give it time and we will become a story. Then a legend, then a myth. Eventually, we will be nothing more than a warning. Tale you tell your children. The dangerous humans who were cast out, she looked directly at Varys, but we will. Remember you, all of you, and one day we will return. You speak of threats. Ambassador, the Krellian demanded. No. Sarah said softly, I speak of promises. She turned and walked from the chamber. Behind her, the council members began discussing the technicalities of the barrier, how strong it needed to be, how long it should last, whether humanity would ever truly be a threat again. None of them considered that 800,000 years was a very long time. The quantum barrier went up exactly as scheduled. It surrounded the entire Solist in 17 dimensions simultaneously. Nothing could pass through it. No ship, no signal, no light from the outside universe. From Earth's perspective, the stars simply vanished. One moment the night sky was full of distant suns and neighboring systems. The next there was nothing but the void. Humanity was alone. The first century was the hardest. Panic swept through human colonies in the Sol system. Many thought it was an attack. Some believed it was the end of everything. Government struggled to maintain order. Religion sprouted overnight, claiming the barrier was divine judgment, but humans adapted. They always did. Scientists studied the barrier. They learned its properties. Its weaknesses, they discovered it was not impenetrable after all. It simply required them to think differently about physics, about reality itself. By the 1000th year, humanity had colonized every planet and moon in the solar system. They built cities in the clouds of Jupiter, mines in the asteroids, research stations in the Kuiper Belt. The Sol system became a single, unified civilization. By the 10,000th year, they had changed. Genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, neural interfacing with machines. Humanity evolved beyond what the Council would have recognized, but they retained their core identity. They remembered who they were. They remembered the exile. By the 100,000th year, they had learned to manipulate dimensions. They created pocket universes within the Sol system, spaces that existed parallel to normal reality. Some humans chose to live entirely in digital realms. Others merged with artificial intelligence. A few remained purely biological, preserved in stasis. And through it all, they worked on the barrier, generation after generation, studying it, learning from it, understanding it. 800,000 years after the exile, they finally solved it. The barrier did not fall, it simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next it was as if it had never been. The stars returned to Earth's sky. The universe opened before humanity once more. In the council chamber, alarms began to sound. Sensors that had been dormant for hundreds of millennia suddenly activated. The barrier around the Sol system had vanished and something was emerging. High Chancellor Xiron, who had led the council for only 50 years, received the report with confusion. The Sol system. She had to search the historical archives to even understand what that meant. The records were ancient, dusty, almost forgotten. Humans, a species exiled so long ago that most current council members did not even know they had existed. What do We know about them, Siren asked her. Advisors, very little, Chancellor. They were deemed dangerous, aggressive, unpredictable. The council of that era chose exile over coexistence. Zion studied the sensor readings. Thousands of ships were leaving the Sol system, but they were unlike anything in the council's databases. They did not move through normal space. They seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. Send a greeting, Zion ordered. Let them know we welcome peaceful contact. The message was sent, and then they waited. The human fleet continued its approach slowly, deliberately, as if it had all the time in the universe. Deep in the historical archives, a warning remained buried, the final words of Ambassador Sarah Chen, words that no living member of the council had ever read. You will forget us, but we will remember you, and one day we will return. That day had arrived. The human ship materialized in council space. Without warning, one moment the sensor showed empty void, the next a vessel hung in the darkness like it had always been there. It was beautiful, strange, terrifying. The ship seemed to exist in multiple states at once, solid metal and flowing energy, present and absent, real and impossible. Council sensors could not agree on its size. Some readings said it was the length of a city. Others insisted it was no larger than a shuttle. High Chancellor Zine stood in the observation deck of the council station. Around her, dozens of advisors and military commanders watched the display screens. No one spoke. They did not know what to say. Have they responded to our greeting? Siren asked. Not yet, Chancellor, but they are broadcasting something, a simple message. They want to send a diplomat. Zion felt a strange mixture of relief and dread. At least they wanted to talk. Allow it. Prepare the diplomatic reception chamber. Chancellor Admiral Kresh interrupted. The massive reptilian officer stepped forward. We should be cautious. These humans were exiled for a reason. We should have our fleet ready. The fleet is already mobilized, Admiral. But we will extend courtesy first. They have done nothing hostile, yet. Crash muttered. The human diplomat arrived exactly on schedule. She appeared in the reception chamber without using a shuttle or transport beam. She simply stepped through the air as if walking through an invisible door. Siron studied the figure before her. The diplomat looked human. 2 arms, 2 legs, a face with familiar features, but something was different. Wrong. She moved too smoothly. Her eyes held depths that seemed to extend beyond normal space. When she breathed, the air around her shimmered. Greetings, High Chancellor, the diplomat said. Her voice was pleasant, musical even, but it carried harmonics that hurt to hear, as if multiple voices spoke at once from different dimensions. I am Ambassador Aria Collective. I speak for humanity. Welcome, Ambassador Collective, Ziron replied carefully. I am High Chancellor Ziron. I lead the Galactic Council. She paused. I must admit your return is unexpected. The barrier was meant to last forever. Aria smiled. It was not a threatening expression, but it made Ziron uncomfortable anyway. Forever is a long time, Chancellor. We had 800,000 years to study that barrier, to understand it, to learn from it. She looked around the chamber. You have changed much since we left. New species, new technologies, new concerns, and humanity has changed as well. All I see. We have evolved, yes, biology, technology, consciousness. We are not the species you exiled. Arya's eyes met. Xyrons, but we remember being them. We remember everything. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. Admiral Kresh's hand moved closer to his weapon. Ambassador, Xyron said slowly, "What is it you want? Why have you returned?" "We want what was taken from us, a place in the galaxy, the right to exist among other species, the freedom to travel the stars." Arya's voice remained calm. "Patient, we are not here to ask permission. We are here to inform you of our intent. We will establish embassies. We will reopen trade. We will rejoin the community we were forced to leave. That is not how the council works." An advisor protested. "You cannot simply declare yourselves members. There are protocols, votes, evaluations." Arya turned to the advisor. Her expression did not change. But the advisor stumbled backward as if struck. "We were members once. You removed us. The council broke its own laws when it exiled us. We owe you no protocols." "Is that a threat?" Krush demanded, stepping forward. "No, Admiral. It is a statement of fact." Arya looked at him without fear. "We do not threaten. We do not need to. You will understand soon enough." "Chancellor," another advisor whispered urgently, "we are receiving reports. Human ships are appearing throughout council space, dozens of them. They are establishing positions near populated systems." Zionfelter Pulsequicken, "Ambassador, your ships are moving into council space without authorization. This is an act of aggression." "No, Chancellor, it is an act of return. We are going to worlds that were once open to us. We are claiming space that was ours by right." Arya's voice remained infuriatingly calm. "We are not invading. We are coming home. The council will not allow this." Xyron said firmly, "You must withdraw immediately or face consequences." Arya tilted her head slightly. "What consequences, Chancellor? Will you exile us again? Build another barrier? We broke the first one. We will break any others you construct." She took a step closer. "Or perhaps you mean military consequences? Will you send your fleet against us if necessary?" Kresh growled. "Then do so," Arya said simply. "Test your weapons against our ships. Fire your missiles. Launch your fighters. We will not respond. We will not need to." The certainty in her voice was chilling. Siren looked at her military commanders. They looked back with expressions of uncertainty. Finally she made a decision. "Very well, Ambassador. You wish to make a statement. We will respond in kind. This meeting is over. The council will convene immediately to address this crisis. Until then, I recommend your ships maintain their current positions. Any further movement will be considered hostile." Arya bowed slightly. "As you wish, Chancellor. We will wait. We have become very good at waiting." She turned to leave, then paused. "One more thing. We have been watching you all these years. Barrier blocked our exit, not our observation. We know everything that has happened in this galaxy, every war, every treaty, every secret." "What do you mean?" Xyron demanded. "I mean that we know what the council has become. We know about the Vidian Accords, the forced uplift, the exploitation of primitive worlds, the wars fought in the shadows." Arya's voice remained gentle, almost sad. "You forgot us, Chancellor. But worse than that, you forgot what you were supposed to be." She stepped through the air and vanished. The chamber erupted into chaos. Advisors shouted questions. Military officers demanded Action Council members from various species argued about protocols and responses. Zyron stood silent in the center of it all. Her mind raced through possibilities, through options, through outcomes. None of them were good. Admiral Crash, she said quietly. Mobilize the fleet. Yes, Chancellor. And Admiral, find out what the Vidian accords are. I want to know what secrets the humans have been watching. Gresh hesitated. Chancellor, the Vidian accords are classified. Only the elder species have access to those files. Then contact the elder species. Tell them we have a problem. Tell them humanity has returned. Siren looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships waited, watching, planning, and tell them we may need their help. In the depths of Council archives, automated systems began pulling files, ancient records from 800,000 years ago, reports on humanity, assessments of their capabilities, warnings about their nature, and buried at the bottom of those files, flagged with the highest security clearance, was a single note written by High Chancellor Varric himself. On the day of humanity's exile, it said, simply, we have made a terrible mistake, but it is too late to undo it. All we can do now is hope they never find a way back. No one would read that note for another 3 days. By then it would be far too late. The Council fleet assembled at the edge of human controlled space, 3,000 warships from 24 species, the largest military force gathered in 5,000 years. Admiral Crash commanded from the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Justice. All ships report ready, Admiral, his tactical officer announced. Crash studied the display. Ahead of them, 50 human ships held position, just 50 against 3,000. The numbers should have been reassuring. They were not. Send the warning, Crash ordered. Tell them to withdraw or be fired upon. The message was transmitted. They waited for a response. None came. The human ship simply floated in the void, silent, patient. Sir, we are getting strange readings from the human vessels. Our sensors cannot maintain a consistent lock. They keep phasing in and out of detection range. Weapons? Crash asked. None detected, sir. No energy signatures, no missile ports. Nothing. It is as if they are unarmed. Crash did not believe that they have weapons. We simply cannot detect them. Yet he looked at his bridge crew. Prepare to fire. Target the nearest human vessel. A warning shot across their bow. Yes, sir. The Eternal Justice's main cannon charged. Energy built in the firing chamber. Enough power to crack a moon in half. The targeting computer locked on. The firing solution was perfect. Fire, Crash commanded. The cannon fired. A beam of pure destruction lanced across space. It should have taken 3 seconds to reach its target. It should have either struck the human ship or passed close enough to make the Council's point clear. Instead, the beam simply vanished. Crash stared at the display. What happened? Unknown. Sir, the beam reached approximately halfway to the target and ceased to exist. No explosion, no deflection. It just stopped. That is impossible. And yes, sir, it should be impossible. Crash felt a chill run through his scales. Fire again. Full power, all forward. Weapons, the flagship unleashed everything it had. Particle beams, plasma torpedoes, kinetic missiles. Enough firepower to level a city. All of it converged on a single human ship. Weapons passed through the vessel as if it were not there. They traveled into empty space beyond and dissipated harmlessly. Admiral, the tactical Officer said, his voice shaking. The human ship, it is not dodging, it is not shielding, it is simply existing in a state where our weapons cannot affect it. Before Kresh could respond, his communications officer gasped, "Sir, we are receiving a message from one of the human ships. Play it." Ambassador Arya's voice filled the bridge, calm, patient. "Admiral Kresh, we told you we would not need to respond to your attacks. We exist beyond your ability to harm us. 800,000 years is a long time to evolve, to change, to grow." A pause, "But to demonstrate that we mean you no harm, allow us to show you something." "What is she talking about?" Kresh muttered. His answer came immediately. The entire Council fleet vanished from their current position. One moment they were in formation near human space, the next they were 5 light years away. Every single ship moved instantaneously. Without warning or damage, chaos erupted. Across 3,000 bridges, ships reported conflicting locations. Navigation systems showed impossible readings. Crews panicked as they tried to understand what had happened. Arya's voice continued, "We could have moved you into a star, we could have scattered your fleet across the galaxy, we could have done many things, but we chose to simply relocate you. No harm, no casualties, just a demonstration." Her tone became almost gentle. "We do not want war, Admiral. We never did. We want coexistence, but we will not ask for it. We will not beg for it. We will simply exist, and you will adapt to that reality." The transmission ended. Kresh stood frozen. His mind struggled to process what had happened. His fleet had been moved like toys, without permission, without violence, just moved. The implications were staggering. 3 hours later, the Council convened an emergency session. High Chancellor Zyron looked out at the assembled representatives. She had never seen them so frightened, so uncertain. "The situation is clear," she began. "Humanity possesses technology far beyond our understanding. They can move our ships at will. They can make themselves immune to our weapons. They have been watching us for 800,000 years." She paused. "And they have information we do not want released." "What information?" a younger species representative asked. "What are these Vidian Accords?" the human mentioned. The chamber fell silent. The elder species exchanged glances. Finally, Ambassador Thel of the Krellian Collective spoke. His energy field pulsed with discomfort. The Vidian Accords were a series of agreements made 600,000 years ago. After humanity was exiled, the Council grew comfortable, complacent. We began to believe we were the only intelligent force in the galaxy that mattered. He paused. "We started uplifting primitive species against their will, forcing them into the Council, controlling their development, exploiting their resources." Gasps filled the chamber. Species that had been uplifted in the past centuries suddenly understood. They had not been helped, they had been conquered. Carefully, slowly, but conquered. Nonetheless, there were wars. They continued, small ones, hidden ones. Species that resisted were eliminated or driven to extinction, all of it done in secret, all of it justified as being for the greater good. His field dimmed with shame. The humans were right. We forgot what we were supposed to be. We became exactly what we accused them of being. And the humans have evidence of all of this. Zyron asked if they were watching as closely as they claim. Yes, they would have seen everything. The chamber erupted. Accusations flew. Alliances Fractured species that had thought themselves equal suddenly realized they were subjects. The council was tearing itself apart. Xiron called for order. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. When it did, she spoke with a heavy heart. We have two choices. We can fight the humans, which appears to be impossible, or we can negotiate with them. Personally, I recommend negotiation. She looked at the elder species representatives, and I recommend we do so honestly. No more secrets, no more manipulation. Agreed, Thel said quietly. The age of the old council is over. Perhaps it is time for something new. Then I will contact Ambassador Collective. We will arrange formal negotiations. Siren stood in the meantime. I want all information on the Vidian Accords made public, every file, every report, every hidden agreement. If humanity is going to expose us, we will do it ourselves first, on our own terms. Chancellor and advisor protested that information could destroy the council's credibility. It could cause uprisings, wars. Yes, Xiron agreed. It probably will, but it is better than letting the humans do it for us. At least this way we show that we are capable of honesty, that we can change. She looked around the chamber. The humans evolved in their isolation. Now we must evolve as well, or we will be left behind. The vote was called. It passed barely, but it passed. Over the next 48 hours, 800,000 years of hidden history began to flood into public networks. Species across the galaxy learned the truth about their uplift, about wars fought in their names without their knowledge, about resources taken, about freedoms lost. The galaxy burned with rage, but through it all, the human ships remained where they were, not attacking, not threatening, just existing, waiting, watching, exactly as they had for 800,000 years. The galaxy fractured within weeks. Dozens of species that had been forcibly uplifted declared independence from the council. Some demanded reparations. Others called for trials. A few simply vanished, retreating to their home systems and sealing their borders. The three elder species that had orchestrated the Vidian Accords found themselves isolated. Paras their representatives could not walk through council halls without facing accusations, without hearing the names of extinct civilizations, without confronting the weight of 800,000 years of sins. Through it all, humanity remained silent. They established embassies on neutral worlds. As promised, they accepted representatives from species who sought contact, but they made no official statements, no public declarations. They simply waited. High Chancellor Xiron requested a meeting with Ambassador Ara. It took 3 days to receive a response. When it came, the message was brief. The humans would meet, but on their terms, on their territory. Xiron found herself standing in a shuttle approaching a human vessel. She had brought only minimal security. 3 guards, 1 advisor. The humans had suggested she come alone, but that would have been political suicide. The human ship grew larger in the viewport. Up close, it was even more impossible. Then from a distance, the hull seemed to shift between states: solid, liquid, gaseous, energy, all of them and none of them it hurt to look at directly. Docking port opening, her pilot announced nervously. They entered the human vessel. The interior was vast, empty. A single corridor stretched before them, lit by light that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The walls were transparent, Through them, Xiron could see impossible things, rooms that existed in curved space, gardens that grew in 4 dimensions, beings that were human and not human, moving through areas where physics worked differently. Ambassador. Arya waited at the end of the corridor. She stood in what appeared to be a meeting room, simple chairs, a simple table, everything designed to look normal, comfortable, but Xiron could feel the wrongness. This room existed outside normal space, outside time itself. High Chancellor Arya greeted. "Thank you for coming. Please sit," Xiron said. Her guards remained standing, tense, ready for threats they could not possibly defend against. Ambassador. Collective. Xiron began. "I will be direct. The galaxy is in chaos. The information you mention has destroyed the Council's authority. Species are leaving, some are preparing for war. If this continues, we will see conflicts that make our past sins look minor. We released no information." Chancellor, you did that yourselves. Arya's expression was unreadable. "We merely suggested you had secrets. You chose to reveal them because you would have done it anyway. We chose the lesser evil." Xiron leaned forward. "What do you want, Ambassador? Why did you return? If it was vengeance, you have achieved it. The Council is broken, our reputation destroyed, centuries of work undone in days. We did not return for vengeance," Arya said softly. "We returned because we had to." "What do you mean?" Arya stood and walked to the transparent wall. Beyond it, space twisted in ways that defied description. "Chancellor, in our isolation, we developed abilities beyond your comprehension. We learned to see across dimensions, across time, across possibilities." She turned back and we saw something coming, something terrible. Xiron felt her blood chill. "What kind of something?" "We call it the consuming dark. It exists in the void between galaxies. It has been moving toward this galaxy for millions of years, slowly, patiently feeding on stars, on planets, on life itself." Arya's voice remained calm, but there was an edge to it now. "It will reach the outer rim in approximately 200 years. 200 years, Xiron repeated. "That is not much time." "No, it is not. We have spent 800,000 years preparing to fight it, evolving our technology, our abilities, our understanding of the universe." Arya sat back down. "But we cannot do it alone. We need allies. We need the resources of the entire galaxy. We need every species working together. And you chose to reveal our crimes because the old council was corrupt, weak, built on lies and control." Arya met Xiron's eyes. "You could not have unified the galaxy against this threat. You would have tried to maintain your power, to control the response, to decide who lived and who died." She paused. "We needed to break that system, to force the galaxy to rebuild itself into something better, something stronger." Xiron wanted to argue, but she could not. Arya was right. The old council would have approached this crisis exactly as she described. So what happens now? Now we rebuild together. No more council dictating terms. No more elder species controlling everyone else. A true alliance, equal voices, equal contributions. Arya pulled up a holographic display. It showed a plan, complex, detailed, years in the making. "We have technology to share, defenses to build, species to train, but it will only work if we do it together as equals. The elder species will never agree to this," Xiron said. "They will see it as a loss of power. Then they will Die when the consuming dark arrives. Arya's voice was flat. Final, we are not here to negotiate with tyrants. Chancellor, we are here to save the galaxy. If the elder species want to survive, they will join us. If not, we will save who we can and leave the rest. Siren studied the holographic display. The plan was brilliant, insane, impossible, and absolutely necessary. You have been planning this for how long? 600,000 years, since we first detected the threat. Arya smiled slightly. We have had a lot of time to think, Chancellor, to plan, to prepare. The exile gave us that gift, time. Without distraction, time to focus on what truly mattered, and if we refuse, then we will save what we can and retreat to another galaxy. We have that capability now. Arya's expression became sad, but we would rather not. This is our home galaxy too. We were born here. We have memories here. We would like to save it. Zyron sat in silence for a long moment. Everything she had believed about the council was shattered. Everything she had worked for was dust. But perhaps that was necessary. Perhaps something new could rise from those ashes. What do you need from me? She asked finally. Help us organize a summit. Every species, every leader. We will present the evidence of the threat. We will present our plan, and we will ask them to join us. Arya stood not as subjects, not as inferiors, but as equals, as partners in survival, and the elder species, they will attend, they will listen, and they will make a choice. Arya's voice became hard. Either they join the new alliance as equals, or they stand aside. There is no third option. Thuron stood as well. She extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Arya took it. The touch was strange, like grasping something that existed in too many dimensions at once. I will help you, Ambassador, not because I have a choice, but because you are right. The old council is dead. It is time for something new. Zyron paused. I hope you know what you are doing. So do we, Chancellor. Arya smiled. So do we. As Zyron's shuttle departed the human vessel, she looked back at the impossible ship. It faded from view, phasing into dimensions she could not perceive. She wondered what humanity had truly become during their exile, what they had sacrificed, what they had gained, and she wondered if the galaxy would survive what was coming, both the external threat and the internal revolution the humans had sparked. Only time would tell, but at least now they had a chance. A slim one, but a chance nonetheless, and that was more than the old council had ever given them. The summit took place on a neutral world, a planet that had never joined the council, that had watched galactic politics from a distance for millennia. Now it hosted the largest gathering in recorded history. Representatives from over 500 species. Some came willingly. Others came out of fear. All of them came because they had no choice. The venue was enormous, an open-air amphitheater that could accommodate beings of all sizes and environmental needs. Force fields separated atmospheric zones. Translation fields hummed with the sound of countless languages. Above it all, holographic displays showed images from deep space. Ambassador Arya stood at the center of the amphitheater, alone, exposed. Every eye in the galaxy was upon her. She did not seem to notice, or perhaps she did not care. 800,000 years ago she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the massive space. My people were exiled from this galaxy. You feared us. You called us dangerous, unpredictable, a threat to peace. She paused. You were right to fear us, but not for the reasons you believed. The holographic displays shifted. They showed images of the consuming dark, a vast emptiness that devoured light itself, entire star systems vanishing into void, planets crumbling to dust, life extinguished in moments. This is what is coming, Arya continued. We detected it 600,000 years ago. At first we thought it was natural, a phenomenon we could study, understand, perhaps even harness. Her expression darkened. We were wrong. It is alive, ancient, hungry, and it has destroyed 17 galaxies before ours. Gasps filled the amphitheater. Panic spread like wildfire. Representatives demanded proof, evidence. Some accused the humans of lying, of manufacturing a threat to gain power. Arya raised her hand. The displays changed again. Now they showed mathematical models, sensor readings, spectral analysis, data collected over hundreds of thousands of years, all of it pointing to the same conclusion. The threat was real. The threat was coming. The threat would arrive in 200 years. We do not ask you to believe us on faith, Arya said. We ask you to look at the evidence, to study it with your own scientists, to verify it through your own methods. Take whatever time you need, but understand this. Every day of delay is a day we could be preparing. Day we could be building defenses. A day we could be saving lives. Ambassador Thel of the Krellian Collective spoke. His energy field pulsed with distress. Even if this is true, what can we do? If this entity has destroyed 17 galaxies, what hope do we have? Hope, Arya replied, is exactly what we have. We have had 800,000 years to prepare, to evolve, to develop technologies and strategies specifically designed to fight this threat. The displays shifted again, showing designs for weapons, shields, dimensional barriers, things that looked more like magic than science. But we cannot implement these alone. We need the combined resources of the entire galaxy. We need every species contributing, every mind thinking, every hand building. And what do you get out of this? Another representative demanded. Species that had been forcibly uplifted and still bore the scars. Why should we trust you? Why should we believe this is not another attempt to control us? Arya looked directly at the speaker. Because if we wanted to control you, we could. We have demonstrated our capabilities. We could have conquered this galaxy. Within weeks of our return, we could have ruled it through fear and force. She paused. But we did not. We will not. Because that is not who we are anymore. We evolved beyond the need for dominance, beyond the desire for power over others. Then what do you want? The representative pressed. Partnership, Arya said simply, equals working together. We will share our technology freely. We will share our knowledge openly. We will ask for nothing in return except cooperation, except effort, except the willingness to stand together against extinction. High Chancellor X stood. Ambassador Collective is correct. I have reviewed the evidence. I have consulted with our best scientists. The threat is real and our only chance of survival is unity. She looked around the amphitheater. The old council is dead. It died the moment we revealed our crimes. What rises from its ashes must be different, better, built on truth instead of lies, on partnership instead of control. We propose a new structure, Arya continued. The compact not a council with rulers and subjects, but an alliance of equals. Every species gets a voice. Every species contributes according to its abilities. Every species shares in the defense and the rewards, and the elder species, someone called out the ones who created the Vidian Accords. What happens to them? Arya turned to where the three elder species sat. They had been silent throughout the presentation. Now they faced the judgment of hundreds of civilizations they had wronged. They have a choice, Arya said. They can join the compact as equals. They can contribute their knowledge and resources to our survival. They can work to repair the damage they have done. Her voice became hard, or they can refuse and face whatever consequences their victims demand. We will not protect them. We will not shield them. Justice delayed is still justice. Ambassador fell slowly. His energy field flickered with shame and resignation. We accept, he said. Quietly, we will join the compact. We will work for redemption. We will earn back the trust we destroyed. He looked at Arya. But we must ask, how can you forgive us? We exiled you. We tried to erase you from history. We became everything you warned us against. We do not forgive you, Arya replied simply. Forgiveness is not ours to give. It belongs to those you harmed, to those you exploited, to those you destroyed. She paused, but we understand that survival requires pragmatism. We need your experience, your knowledge, your resources, so we will work with you not as friends, not as forgiven criminals, but as partners in survival, and perhaps over time you will earn something more. They'll bow deeply. It was a gesture of submission, of acknowledgement, of acceptance. The other elder species followed suit. One by one they stood and bowed. They accepted their new place in the galaxy, not as rulers, not as controllers, but as equals among many. Then it is decided, Zyron announced. Galactic Council is formally dissolved. The compact is established in its place. All species who wish to join are welcome. All species who wish to lead must first serve. All species who wish to survive must work together. The vote was called, not unanimous. Some species abstained, some refused outright, but the majority agreed. The compact was born. Over the following months, the galaxy transformed. Human technology flooded into compact systems. Dimensional shields, quantum weapons, consciousness transfer protocols. Things that had taken humanity 800,000 years to develop were shared freely. Species that had been enemies for millennia worked side by side. Old grudges were set aside, not forgotten but prioritized. Below survival, construction began on massive defense platforms at the galaxy's edge. Early warning systems that could detect the consuming darks approach years in advance. The elder species worked harder than anyone. They seemed desperate to prove themselves, to atone for their crimes. Ambassador Thel personally oversaw the construction of the largest defense station. He slept little, ate less, drove himself and his people to exhaustion. One day Arya found him alone in an observation deck. He was staring out at the construction, watching thousands of ships from hundreds of species working in perfect coordination. Ambassador Collective, he said without turning, I have a question. Ask it. Did you plan this, all of it? The exile, the evolution, the return, the revelation of our crimes. Did you manipulate us into destroying ourselves so you could rebuild us? Arya was silent for a long moment. No, she said finally. We did not plan the exile, we did not want it, it was forced upon us. She moved to stand beside him, but we used it, we adapted to it, we learned from it, and when we discovered the threat, we realized the galaxy as it existed could not survive, so we chose to break it, to rebuild it, to make it stronger. You could have told us about the threat without exposing our crimes, could we? Would you have listened, would they? Younger species have trusted a council built on lies, would they have fought for a system that had exploited them? Arya shook her head. No, we needed to destroy the old structures completely, to give the galaxy a chance to build something better. You sound like you are trying to convince yourself, Thel observed. Arya smiled sadly. Perhaps I am. We have done terrible things to save the galaxy. We have manipulated, deceived, destroyed trust. That took millions of years to build. We tell ourselves it was necessary, that the ends justify the means, but sometimes in quiet moments we wonder if we have become what you once feared. No, Thel said firmly. What we feared was aggression without purpose, violence without reason, chaos without care. He turned to look at her. You are none of those things. You are ruthlessly pragmatic. You are willing to do what must be done, but you do it for survival, for the greater good. That makes you dangerous, but it does not make you evil. Thank you, Ambassador. That means more than you know. They stood in silence for a while, watching the construction, watching the galaxy unite against a common threat. Finally, Thel spoke again. We regret it. You know, the exile, even at the time some of us knew it was wrong.